Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Face Your Ears podcast. I'm joined here today with my friend, producer extraordinaire, Justin Hoshella. How you doing?
Hello, Rich. I am doing well. How are you?
Things are going wonderfully out here. There's a lot of action happening at Bozic Voice Studio. I'm prepping for a studio sing this coming month where students will come and perform for each other at my home studio.
Excellent.
So that's coming up. I got some events coming up later this year that I'm slowly putting together and wrapping up some recordings with a few clients. So that some of that stuff will be on its way. But yeah, things are going well. How about you?
Yeah, I'm excited to announce a new music project that will be kicking off soon. I met this really cool musician named Jay Pivonis on Instagram. He's into the same kind of industrial electronic music that I am. And we made a fast friendship. We found out we have a lot in common. And I asked him if I could remix one of his songs, which he was gracious enough to let me do. So that's actually out.
Excellent.
On all streaming platforms. It's called Not Dead. And he goes by the name of Doing the Devil's Work. So, yeah, you can check out his stuff in that remix. But he and I are doing our own music project called Same, Not Same.
Excellent.
And launching this month. So you can follow us on Instagram to get all the announcements and when the single is out. So we have that coming up soon.
And we'll put the link in the show description here.
I will put the link in there. And then I decided to release another song under my Man-Made Random moniker.
Wow, you've been productive.
I have, yeah. So I've actually had this song under my hat for a while, like years. I produced this song back in like 2021. It was a while ago.
Wow, nice. That's going to see the light of day.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually sing on this one, which is a rare thing.
Nice.
It sounds great. And I'm really excited about it. It's a really fun track. And that should be out on May 30th. So once that's up and running, check out our social media. We'll have links to all of that good stuff. Some stuff of my own, kind of ready to be unleashed on the world.
Speaking of which, Justin here was recently featured on another podcast. Can you tell our audience about that?
That's right. Yeah. I had the pleasure of being on the Into the Mix podcast, episode 191. And Marc Matthews, the host of that podcast, reached out and asked if we would be interested in participating. It was a blast. I talked about Logic Pro, some of the hidden features and functionality that you can find within Logic. And so you can check that out on really anywhere, wherever you listen to podcasts.
We will put that in the description as well. The link. Marc Matthews, nice guy. My episode where we talked will be coming out soon as well. Another thing, quickly, I just want to let everyone know that we are on Instagram at Face Your Ears podcast.
Yeah.
We have surpassed our 2,500 listens milestone. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We appreciate that. Also, we have a YouTube channel. We have all of our episodes up on YouTube, and we also have some entertaining little shorts that we've started to upload.
More to come.
More to come.
Rich, let me ask you something to kick off the subject matter of our episode today. When you were a young, budding musician, up and coming, did you have a rich uncle to finance your every whim?
I did have uncles that I would consult for projects, but I don't know if any of them were
financiers.
Yeah. At least none of them stepped forward to do so.
No Uncle Scrooge like uncles.
No.
There.
Why do you ask?
Well, the reason I ask is because I, too, did not have a well-to-do uncle to fund my every whim in recording and music production, which does bring us to the topic of today, which is producing on a budget.
All right.
It's something that both of us really relate to because when we were starting out, we were pretty young. We didn't have money. we know that's a reality for a lot of folks. We wanted to take on this challenge of figuring out, can we create a great rig, on a limited budget?
So basically the scenario we set is we have a musician who's a singer-songwriter, maybe, like a voice and another instrument. And we set up two scenarios. One is a musician who has a computer and what kind of package you could put together for that, and a musician that does not have a computer. We capped the budget at $1,000. Now, I know some people out there might be like, that's still quite a bit. I found that if you have $1,000 to put into your rig, you can really do well. I was happy with what I was able to put together for that amount of money. Maybe we'll try a challenge in the future where we can, with even less. Yeah, cut it in half.
500.
Yes.
I think 1,000 is fairly reasonable, especially as you hear what we've built, because it's pretty comprehensive. At least mine is. And the other thing I'll mention is I have no idea what Rich has put together.
We're presenting to each other now for the first time here.
It's a surprise. So I'll kick it off here. My budget for a musician that does not have a computer. Well, first off, I want to get this person a computer. So I went with a Mac Mini M4 refurbished to save a little bit of money.
You went Mac. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. I went Mac because of Logic Pro and GarageBand.
Of course.
This computer is $509, so obviously it's like half the budget, but I think it's well worth the investment. I picked this because it's affordable. Like I said, it'll run Logic Pro, and you can actually get a 90-day free trial of Logic Pro from Apple. So in
go
that
out and rake some leaves and
you could go mow some lawns, rake some leaves, do whatever, save up for a few months. Logic Pro itself is $199. So just to give you a frame of reference, those 90 days, use it for free, save up some money. But in the meantime, you also have GarageBand, and GarageBand for someone getting started is absolutely robust enough to record, use some different instruments, drum beats, and so forth. So yeah, I went with a M4 Mac Mini.
Where did you find it?
I found this through Apple.com. Apple has a refurbished section on their website.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, and so the nice thing too about a refurbished Apple product is it's still fully under warranty. So it's equivalent to buying a brand new computer. So you still get Apple's coverage and warranty and all that stuff like you would on a regular computer.
Awesome.
So for a Mac Mini, you do have to get a monitor, keyboard, and mouse. I went to Amazon and I found a Sansui 24-inch computer monitor, HDMI connection for the Mac Mini, has really good reviews, and it's quite affordable. And that was $79.99.
Oh, nice.
Not too much.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
I found a keyboard and mouse combo package on Amazon, Bluetooth keyboard and mouse combo. Very affordable, really good reviews, and they had a $10 off coupon, bringing it to $19.99. And for a microphone, so this is something else I think is important, I went with a Behringer C1 condenser microphone, and I found one on reverb.com that is very affordable, and it got really good reviews, and it's like really good for an entry-level mic.
Yeah.
So that's what I want everyone to remember here. We're just getting started.
Yeah.
We're not trying to like compete with LA, New York City studios. So we're just trying to help somebody who's maybe 16 or 17 get started. And this microphone I found for $33.
Oh, excellent.
So amazing reviews on it. It was really surprising. It's like one of those microphones that pros were reviewing it and they were shocked.
Yeah, well, Behringer is always surprising me with the kind of stuff they put out. I mean, I know people like to dunk on Behringer, but man, like I've used some of their stuff in my studio through the years for live equipment, like some of the boards. I've had success with it on some of the monitors and speakers and some of the monitoring, the little headphone monitors. I mean, they make all kinds of little things. They got their hand in everything.
Yeah. We could actually do a whole episode on Behringer. Like, it's a fascinating rabbit hole. Anyway. Behringer C1 condenser microphone. And reading the reviews, I was tempted to pick one up myself because I'm like, man.
It's just because you love gear, and every time you read something, you're going to want to buy it. I know.
That's the thing. That was really dangerous with this exercise for me. It was like, oh, that caught me in a rabbit hole. But the microphone, you always need a pop filter. So I found one on Amazon, and I think it was just like a generic brand. It was $8.88. And I went over to Reverb to find a microphone stand. And the reason I did that is because I just felt like you don't need a brand. Like a microphone stand is, pretty ubiquitous. You don't need like top of the line microphone stand.
You got the way some of my students manhandle that microphone stand. I don't know if anybody would want to use that thing after that.
In a recording setting, hopefully, take care of your equipment. You're not buying top shelf, so it's not quite as robust. I found one on Reverb, identified as a 5-core tripod mic stand with a phone holder, which I thought was great. People often have lyrics or notes on their phone. It was versatile for like recording vocals or instruments. So like if you had a guitar, like an acoustic guitar, for example, you could position it for that. And I love that it can hold a phone or even a tablet. That was $22.98. It seems pretty legit. Found a good XLR cable for our microphone on Amazon by Monoprice. I've used Monoprice a lot in the past, and they're very good quality for not a lot of money. It's good to have a robust cable without spending a ton of money. I think you can do that with a Monoprice XLR cable at $14.99. Headphones are important, especially if you're recording vocals. When you record vocals, you need to have headphones. Otherwise, you're not really going to be able to hear the music, and you'll get bleed into the microphone and all that stuff. But I went with Audio-Technica ATH M20X closed back monitor headphones. I found these on Sweetwater, and these are, affordable. They come with high ratings, and they come with an adapter, so that way you can use it on an 1/8-inch connection, which you could find on consumer equipment like a phone. The adapter would connect into a 1/4-inch jack, which you'd find on more professional equipment like an audio interface. So those are $50. I went with a pair of Mackie CR3X 3-inch active studio monitors for the actual speakers. I like these. My wife actually has these in her office, and they're quite nice. I used them when we were renovating our basement and the studio down here, and I produced quite a bit of music using those. Nice. They were great. They have a front-facing headphone jack, which is really convenient, and they do have really good quality sound, and they're affordable. It's $74.65.
Oh, nice.
You'll need some speaker cables to connect those to your interface. I found another set of Monoprice cables. It's actually a two cable package. So 1/4-inch Monoprice cables on Amazon. Good quality, affordable, and that would be $15.98. I also threw in a MIDI controller. I found this on Reverb. When something's higher priced, I see if I can find it used.
Yes. That's a great tactic.
So don't hesitate to do that. If you can find something used that's in really good condition, like even headphones, honestly, try reverb.com. It's incredible. I threw in the Nectar Impact GXP49 USB MIDI keyboard controller. It's really nice because it integrates with your DAW, like start, stop, record, that kind of stuff. Decent number of keys, 49 keys, so it makes it a little easier to play chords versus something that's half that. You can't really play chords very well, or like full, two-handed chords. That was showing at $75. And then for the audio interface, I went with Behringer again because frankly, I was running out of money at this point. But I went back to reverb.com and I found the Behringer UMC22 USB interface. It has 2 inputs, which is great. One of them is XLR for your mic. Another's 1/4-inch, like your guitar or something. But super easy setup. It has 48-volt phantom power for that microphone. And it's a nice entry-level device. It's not top shelf, but for somebody getting started, it's absolutely fine. It's super cheap. $35 on Reverb.
Nice.
So my total came to $939.46, and after tax, $995.83.
Wow, just under,
So it got
under
in
the mark.
under the mark, yeah, under $1,000.
Excellent.
So yeah.
Yeah, I really like your tactic of if you find something you like and it's brand new, it's too expensive, go and look elsewhere. I think that's a great tactic. I tapped into some of that action and some of the stuff. So what I opted for was a laptop. There was the Lenovo IdeaPad Slim 3. I went PC. It had a 15.6-inch touchscreen, a decent hard drive, 512 gigabytes, and 16 gigabytes of RAM. And it was $419 on Walmart's website. I also saw it in other places for a comparable price. Costco had it as well. So that's where I started with the laptop. So then that allowed me to not have to worry about a keyboard and a monitor and all that business. And a little more portability maybe.
Yeah.
The interface that I went with was a refurbished Scarlett 2i2 Gen 3 that came with a CM25 MK3 mic, condenser mic, and the HP 60 MK3 headphones and an XLR cable, all for $183.99.
It's very convenient. I like packages like that for folks that are getting started because it takes the burden of like figuring out all these little pieces off of them. So,
and I figured the Scarlett, those Focusrite interfaces are pretty solid. If you have a mic made by the same manufacturer and headphones, that would be a nice combo. What is nice about it also, it's refurbished, but there is a 3-year warranty with it. It also comes with Ableton Lite, and there's 3 months of Pro Tools for free with it as well. The Hitmaker expansion and other plugins from Antares, Softtube, Lander, XLN Audio, and more. And there's also customer support for life. So for a beginner, I think that's cool because like if you run into problems setting up, you give a call. So that was $183.99. Then I went with a package on Amazon, a noise shield, pop filter, mic stand, and a music stand built into the mic stand by a company called, I guess, Vevor, Vevor. And I tried, when I buy off of Amazon, I always try to go for 4-star reviews and up. This got a 4.5 user review, and that was $47.99 for that whole combo.
Wow.
The only
what
thing
came in that again?
That
pop
noise shield, pop filter, mic stand, and a music stand built into the mic stand.
Wow.
So that was...
What was the noise shield? Like, what is that?
So the noise shield is like the foam kind of foldable little wall that goes behind your condenser mic that attaches to the stand.
Kind of blocks out ambient room noise.
I'm big on that. And if you notice on some of our shorts, I have my Aston shield right in front of me.
It was like the Death Star floating in front of Rich's face.
I think that day something was up with the mic I normally use, so I had to use the other mic, which was attached to the thing. I want to take this noise shield off right now. Cool. But anyways, I like noise shields, and they're not too expensive, especially with a combo like this. The only thing it didn't include was a shock mount. So I got a universal shock mount. It was $8.99. It was cheap and had a high rating on Amazon. And then I went with studio monitors. I went with the PreSonus Eris 3.5 pair, which was $98.99 on Amazon. I got it because of the high rating, and I also went on other forums and was kind of asking the question as I typed it into Google, like, what are the best budget studio monitors? And these PreSonus monitors kept coming up on a lot of the results. High rating on a lot of sites and people talking about it a lot. And then also, I went a little bit extra. I got a PreSonus Eris sub. There's a Bluetooth sub. I think it's Bluetooth. Yeah, I think it's Bluetooth. And it to cover the low end of the spectrum with those smaller speakers. That was $144.99. And I found that used on Guitar Center's website. You could get it new for like $199.99. I had to cut back. I was a little over, so I'm like, okay, where can I cut it? I cut it back on the sub. And then I bought TRS cables. There were 2 pairs. I bought 2 pairs. They were $9.98 for each pair. I bought 2 pairs. That was $19.96 total for
Why
those.
did you buy 2 pairs?
Because what you need is to hook up your speakers to the sub so they could trigger the sub on the low end, and then also from the sub to the interface.
Okay.
When you use a sub, that's what you got to do. You got to run your monitors through the sub. My subtotal was $923.91 and a total of $979.34. So I still had a little bit of wiggle room at the end.
Yeah, we both had a little room left over to buy a coffee.
Yes.
To celebrate our acquisition. That's an awesome package, Rich.
Right.
Nice work.
Thanks.
Shall we move on to someone that has a computer?
Yes, let's do that. I'm excited about this one. Go for it.
So my imaginary musician already has a Mac, I guess I'll assume. I'll start with a microphone. Behringer C1 condenser microphone. Again, it's really affordable, and the reviews were just so compelling. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go with this one again. Once more on reverb.com. I should also mention, too, that this Behringer C1 comes with a mount, an adapter that allows you to mount it on a mic stand. $33 for that. Amazon pop filter, $8.88 for that. Same XLR cable, mono price, nice quality, but not super expensive at $14.99. I went with I think a slightly better microphone stand here. A Rocket tripod microphone stand with a fixed boom, versatile for recording vocals or instruments. Sweetwater.com this time for the mic stand.
Ooh, you splurged on the mic stand.
I did. Same headphones, Audio-Technica ATH M20X closed back monitor headphones. Found these again. Sweetwater, affordable, high ratings. Come with the adapter that you need. $50. Yeah, it's actually all kind of boring because it's a lot of the same stuff, but I'm sorry. Yeah, but MIDI controller, I went the same route with the GXP49 Nectar Impact USB MIDI keyboard.
That's cool. I like that you did. I didn't think of that. I just assumed that my musician was going to be like had a guitar already that they were going to record, or they were going to use loops or something like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think a MIDI controller is so important if you're going to be producing music, because you can use it to control any kind of instrument, especially if you're going to use Logic or something like that. Really great DAW integration with that controller, and I like that it has 49 keys. So $75. Found that on Reverb, and your mileage may vary with some of these, resellers like Reverb.com or eBay or things like that. So you could find it for a little less, a little bit more. Just kind of depends on the market.
You could always check locally, Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist as well.
Totally. Let's see. And for the audio interface, like you, I went with a Focusrite 2i2 3rd gen. And I found this on Reverb.com. I used one that was in really nice condition. And I like Focusrite. I have one. I'm using one right now. They're really easy to use, and they're affordable. This one was $100.
Oh, nice.
Can't go wrong. And then at the center of it all is Logic Pro. So Logic Pro, as I mentioned earlier, is $199. It is a fully featured professional music production software suite. Everything from loops to instruments to audio effects and tools, you name it, it's got it. Check out my episode on Inside the Mix with Marc Matthews, and I talk all about that.
Yes.
So $199 for Logic Pro. And then the speakers, this is where I splurged. Before I talk about the speakers, I should mention speaker cables. Same speaker cables. Mono price 1/4 inch pair from Amazon, $15.98, which will connect to our Yamaha HS5 5-inch powered studio monitors. So I found these on Sweetwater. Really high ratings. You'll see these a lot online, like people in various studios use these Yamaha monitors. They're really nice and affordable. They're $400 for the pair. I think this is a really important investment. If you already have a lot of the other things, like a computer, this is where you want to invest most of your money. in the speakers. And so my subtotal for this came to $931.84.
Wow.
And that brought my total after tax here in Michigan anyway to $987.75. So once again, slightly under $1,000, but a fully featured package for somebody that wants to get started that has a computer already. So yeah, that's what I came up with.
Very cool.
How about
Very
you,
cool.
Rich?
Yeah, interesting the route you took. So what I did was I didn't assume whether the person was using a Mac or a PC at all. I tried to make it compatible with both. So I'm going to start with my interface. I went with the Apollo Solo, which runs $499, and I found that on Sweetwater. It comes with a 2-year warranty and comes with a DAW, Luna. It comes with Luna. And there are a lot of free plugins with these Apollo interfaces. At any moment in time, there might be some kind of promotion where if you buy an Apollo, you get a package of plugins free. There was, in fact, a promotion going on. They claim it's $1,600 worth of plugins that come for free with it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's cool. Some famous compressors and reverbs and whatnot. So that was what I started with as the baseline. That's like already half my money. And then I had to buy a Thunderbolt 3 USB cable. And you know what's funny is it was kind of hard to locate that on Amazon. Everything was vague as to whether it was really Thunderbolt 3. There was a lot of stuff where they're like, on Amazon now, they'll tell you if something's returned often. So I tried to avoid those links where it said that, and I tried to go for a high rating. But I found one by Cable Matters for $25.99.
That's really interesting. So the interface doesn't come with one?
I was reading on the UAD, Universal Audio site. It says specifically does not include the Thunderbolt cable. It is weird, but yeah. So found it on Amazon. There was a package I found with the Rode NT1 microphone. It came with the mic, it came with a shock mount, a pop filter, and an XLR cable, all together with a 10-year warranty for $154 on Amazon. That was a fun little find, and people were commenting on it being a solid starter microphone. And the mic stand I got was the Pile microphone.
Oh, you love Pile.
I think I have a Pile like conditioner or something like that.
Power conditioner.
They're another one of those companies that show up a lot when you want to buy the odds and ends to complete little things in the studio, right? I bought a mic stand with a weighted bottom. The first package I had a tripod. With this one I decided to go with a weighted bottom. It was $30.32. And then I found a noise shield for $24.95. And then by this point, I was getting close to my total here. So I was like, all right, let me try something different with this setup. And what I decided to go with was just, I wanted to go with a higher end headphones. Instead of going the studio monitor out, I wanted to go the higher end headphones. There are better headphones, but I picked the Audio Technica ATH M50X. This was another one of those pieces of equipment that I saw on a lot of forums when people were talking about a rock solid pair of headphones that everyone seemed to love. So that was $149.99. And so like you could spend less on headphones and get monitors as well. You could knock the headphones back and then be able to afford those the PreSonus Eris studio monitors for my first build, right? So my subtotal was $884.25, and my total after taxes was $937.31. So there was still like some money left over. You might even be able to find a pair of studio monitors for that amount of money left over. You might be able to find a pair of used PreSonus speakers,
or like those Mackies I mentioned. I think you could swing those for probably close to that.
Yeah,
like $75-$50, maybe somewhere in there.
Yeah,
definitely.
So there you go. That's what I came up with.
Excellent. I love it. The mic stand is jumping out at me. I didn't think about having a weighted mic stand. That's actually a really good point, because otherwise they're kind of flimsy and they flop all over the place. I like that you went with more premium headphones. I kind of thought about doing that myself, where Instead of having monitors and headphones, you invest more in the headphones because they're a necessity if you're going to record vocals. So I like it.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. We both tackled 2 scenarios where a musician maybe has a computer, but they don't have any of the equipment, and vice versa, where they don't have anything and they need to get started from scratch. Between the 2 of us and these 4 scenarios that we presented, you can start to get a sense of what you can put together for $1,000.
Yeah.
It sounds like both of us came in under $1,000 technically.
Yes.
So that's great.
I think it's amazing nowadays how many sites have good package deals. You just got to dig around a little bit, and you got to kind of have a game plan going into it. If you're in it for the long haul, you'll upgrade some stuff, but it's all there. I'm so pleased that you can put something decent together for that amount of money.
Mm-hmm. So we will put all of this together into our show notes so that you can dig into it a little bit more and maybe find something that you need to add to your studio or build a whole outfit for you to begin producing. Thanks so much, everyone, for listening. We appreciate all of the engagement and listeners that we have. Like Rich said at the top of the episode, we now have over 2,500 listens on the podcast, which is amazing. Thank you for that, everyone. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Face Your Ears podcast. If you found this episode entertaining and informative, be sure to share and leave a review. Also, check us out on social media and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. For more information related to our podcast, head on over to www.faceyourears.com. Links can be found in the show description. And remember, whether you're a musician just starting out or a seasoned professional looking to talk shop, it's time to face your ears.